Is there a certain camera I need to look at, or just look right at there?
Oh, and then there's me. When did you test 1, 2, 3? I haven't done that in a while. I'm going to make it public. Wake up, Michael, Jacob Kalenzi says. You actually switch it over to you and get it off me. People want to see Michael now.
All right, we'll wait around for a few minutes. I think we'll give it another few minutes. Let some people start populating in here.
So when we know when people are in there.
See it.
Oh, okay. Video's pretty clear. Mine's thing's way behind.
We got 3 people watching.
He's like, I don't see a way to submit questions. It's like, yeah, we know. I have to set that up.
It's going to take a while.
Just
people watch. Come on, everyone. Come on in. The water's just fine. Let's go for it, man. See, Jacob wants to know, can you sum up how Kayvon, Thibodeau, and Derek Hall visits went? Actually, we can save those.
yeah, we have to do the news first, and then
we see Jacob. We'll get to your question.
you just have to let me know when we're live, because mine's way behind what I'm seeing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Are you clicking the link that's in?
Mm-hmm.
Do this. Click on it again, so it actually takes you to YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I see the comments now.
So I'm kind of afraid. I hope the people who click on.
Just tell them to double.
I put a note in there like you have to click on it, to redirect you to YouTube.
Yeah, just make sure they know.
How about the Noel says video and audio looks just fine. Let's roll. No. All right, cool. Randy Quaid up in the house. He was kidnapped by aliens 10 years ago, exposing the Illuminati on Twitter.
Just tell him to double.
We got some crazy people.
Yeah, just make sure they know. She says she created something in there. If we needed, we can do it.
Like in the actual thread?
No, in the Cover It Live.
Okay.
That's how we usually do it.
Is there a link for Cover Live?
Yeah, it's in there. You just I have to. She says she created something in there. If we needed, we can do it.
Like in the actual thread?
No, in the Cover It Live. That's how we usually do it.
Is there a link for Cover Live?
It's in there. You just okay, let's see what she says. All right. You go to just coveritlive.com. Username is
Coveritlive.com.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on, Dylan. Can you email me the information so I
Yeah.
can give the credentials out?
all right. You go to just coveritlive.com. Username is yeah. Yeah. I'm launching that right now.
What's that?
I'm launching the Cover It Live right now. But you'll be able to see it once you go there.
I mean, since you launch it, can you just get the link and then paste it in the thread? Or do you need me to log in and do it?
It'll be easier if you did it.
Just email me the login credentials or whatever so I can.
I just did.
Okay.
I'm launching that right now. I'm launching the Cover It Live right now. But you'll be able to see it once you go there.
What's going on, everybody? We'll get going in like 2 minutes. We'll go like 8:10ish. Just wrapping up some loose ends. Back to Michael.
So it's all set just whenever you go in there.
What's going on, everybody? We'll get going in like 2 minutes. We'll go like 8:10ish. Just wrapping up some loose ends. Back to Michael.
So it's all set just whenever you go in there.
Still haven't gotten it.
I texted you.
Yeah. Oh, you texted me.
Yeah.
And it's coveritlive.com, you
Yep.
said?
And then just look for the
Yeah.
sign in, and then you put all
I'm
your.
not going to give you guys a credential, sorry, buddy. Not tonight. Not tonight, devil. Michael Langston is the best 145.
I texted you.
Oh, you texted. It's an invalid login credential.
You just gotta make sure you do it right.
Yep.
Warchant's all lowercase.
And then just look for the sign in and put all your. I'm not going to give you guys a credential, sorry, buddy. Is that the page at Illusion that you log into?
Mm-hmm. No. Show me the page again. Warchant's all lowercase. Let me see your computer. You're in, you just have to scroll around and find it. I don't know why it's not showing up.
It says there's no live event. What recruiting job that is. So do I hit open event studio?
Yep. That's it, and you'll see everything. And then just put that link inside the PRB post so people know where to go.
That's a nasty looking link. Alright, man.
Should be all set. Yep. That's it. You'll see everything. And then just put that link inside the PRB post so people know where to go. Should be all set.
Alright. Oh, we got like 65 people. Everybody's coming, Michael. They're coming to America. Alright, man. We're ready to rock whenever you want. You want to do 8:15? We'll say 8:15.
Yep.
8:15, everybody.
All right, everybody, what's up? I'm Aslan, Director of Digital Media. Don't judge me based on this. This is like kind of last minute. We're just trying to launch, soft launch. We'll be going at 8:15, we promise. 8:15, final call. We'll get it rolling. If you're seeing this on YouTube and you have a YouTube account, you can actually over here on the chat, you can post it. You won't see or hear me much. It's going to be mostly Michael. I might chime in a few times, but otherwise it's going to be all Michael answering all your guys' questions. We'll go in 1 minute. It's 8:14. We'll go at 8:15. Don't judge me based on this. Like kind of last minute. We're just trying to launch, soft launch. We go in at 8:15. We promise. 8:15. Final call. We'll get it rolling. If you're seeing this on YouTube and you have a YouTube account, you can actually over here on the chat, you can post it. You won't see or hear me much. It's going to be mostly Michael. I might chime in a few times, but otherwise it's going to be all Michael answering all your guys' questions. We'll go in 1 minute. It's 8:14. We'll go at 8:15.
Does that look right? The covered live?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody post them? Okay, that's fine.
They'll start posting once. I would just start talking, telling people.
We're good, man. It's 8:15. You want to rock and roll, Michael?
Let's
do it.
Let's do it. Tell them we're live.
We're live, man. Go. You're good.
Welcome to the Warchant Recruiting Chat. I'm here. It's Michael Langston here with Aslan. We're all testing this as far as a soft launch. So guys, we're just bear with us. But should be a fun night. I'm going to answer all your questions. But before I do that, I'm going to kind of get into some of the recruiting news, some follow-ups on this weekend's visitors. Obviously, the first one. The first person I want to talk about is 5-star defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau. That's one of the biggest ones. Hang on 1 second, guys. We're all testing this as far as a soft launch, so guys, So back to Thibodeau. Things look pretty good from what I've heard. Even though they lost, Thibodeau was very impressed. I got the sense in talking to some FSU sources with situation that they feel very good, and that things look extremely good for Thibodeau. And I would not change my pick with that. I feel pretty confident about that. I think people need to understand, like, not everything with Thibodeau is about football, winning or losing. It's also about comfort and how he feels there. And I don't think he's more comfortable in any place that he's been than FSU. And he got a chance to really see the academic side of FSU, what kind of ways he can get his degrees, how they take care of their athletes. But also he really likes Mark Snyder, the defensive ends coach. I think he was very impressed with what he saw when they broke down film. They didn't make excuses. They went in there and talked about things that they need to work on, things that they didn't do here, they didn't do there. So I think FSU sits in a good spot still with Kayvon Thibodeau. And then on to linebacker Derek Hall. I think that's still a very close race with Auburn. Derek had a really good visit. He's going to come back for the Clemson game. I think a lot of people think it's going to be Auburn. I'm not so sure about that. I think he's feeling FSU a lot right now. I wouldn't say they're the leader, but I would say the team that is on his mind is FSU. He really liked it there. He really connects with this staff. Derek comes from a very high Christian family, a lot of Christian values. This staff kind of shows those same kind of values, and I think he likes that and he connects with them. He sees a big opportunity to play early at linebacker. I think Auburn's a major threat. He's going to officially visit there on the 14th coming up this month, so they'll certainly put in a push for him. And I think it's going to be a back forth battle. I don't think it's one-sided that Auburn. With the people I talk to, that are people that are close to him, he likes the things that are outside of football with FSU, but he also sees that, I think he saw the opportunity that, hey, I can get on the field early here, and that also attracts him a lot. He's very close friends with Tamari and Terry, so he'll be back. I think he will officially visit for the Clemson game, but I think he'll be back for maybe one or two other games. I think he's going to visit there a lot, so FSU needs to keep doing what they're doing. Certainly a wide open recruitment. But I think Tresman is feeling FSU a lot more than most people probably realize. So I think those are some of the main things. Obviously, the main thing that people want to talk about is offensive line, linebackers. That's going to come into picture. It'll be clear once these guys start visiting. I do expect offensive lineman Evan Neal to take a official visit to FSU. He's a 5-star. I think he'll visit. I think Brandon Cunningham out of Mississippi, he'll also officially visit FSU. So the offensive line, as far as targets, will open up. So I wouldn't sweat that right now. FSU wants 4 or 5 in this class. I'm thinking they're going to get 5 based on what I was told. I think FSU feels good that they can get that number and get the guys that that they're heavily involved with. So that will come into picture more when we see more guys visit. As far as this weekend, I'm expecting 4-star defensive end Lloyd Summerall to visit. I hear he's really starting to talk up FSU a little more. FSU, Miami seem to be the teams I hear more about from him. Not so much Florida, but Florida is very much in the picture. But that's just what I got last week. I'm told he kind of flips a little bit who he likes the best and all that stuff. But Lloyd Summerall will visit. His teammate running back DeMarcus Bowman will also visit. He's a 2020 running back. And I expect Tyler Davis, defensive tackle, a major target, to visit FSU likely this weekend. Going to confirm that, but I think he will visit this weekend, and he's a guy to really watch. Supposedly was supposed to visit Clemson earlier this week, but I don't know if that happened. But I do feel that FSU is starting to feel pretty good about him, but that one's a long ways to go. Clemson, FSU in a tight battle. So that's really the main news right now, guys. But I'm going to let you guys throw in the questions. Give me some questions. I'll fire away, and I'll pick up and I'll answer all of them.
All right, let's go over this one first, Michael. This one came from Jacob. He was asking, can you sum up how Kayvon Thibodeau and how Derek Hall's visits went?
Yeah, they were, like I said in the intro with our Nuggets, I think the visits went really good. Obviously, a win always is a big thing where you can really make a big impression, and really you talk about commit watch stuff. But I think overall for a loss, I don't think you can have a more positive visit. Thibodeau, like I said, connected with this staff like no other place that he's been. He feels comfortable with Tallahassee. He loves Tallahassee. I think that kind of showed when he went over there to take a visit to FAMU. Kind of tells you he wants to know about the city. But everything I've heard is very positive, and from FSU side sources that I talked to, they feel very good about where they sit with Kayvon Thibodeau. I think they did an extremely good job. I was told this very clearly, that they did a really good job as far as their pitch and academics, and Willie Taggart, and I heard Myron Roll was involved in that kind of academic pitch. So I think they did a really good job with that. And with Derek Hall, like I said, he comes from a strong Christian value family, and a lot of this staff is like that. So I think he connected in that way. He's really tight with Raymond Woody. That's a coach, linebackers coach that he's very comfortable with. I think there's still work to do. Tight battle, I think. A lot of people think Auburn all the way, but I think it's a very tight battle, and I think that's going to come down to probably make a decision, I'd say like November or so, around late November. I think he'll make a decision, but he's going to come back to FSU, see them again. But I think the main thing FSU needs to do is stick with their pitch to how they're doing it. Not just football, not just getting on the field early, but their culture and what separates their culture from Auburn. And I think that's kind of what they're focused on. So I think both of those visits were really well.
All right, this is going to be the Knoll plug coming at you, Michael. He asks, what chances do you think we have of landing Nakobe Dean?
I think the question was, what chances do they have with linebacker Nakobe Dean? I think they have a very good shot. Mom's already on board. His mom's already said publicly to us in the media several times that, it's up to her. She wants him at FSU. So I think that's a big thing, to have mom already on board. We know moms are the biggest influence in the family. I think she falls in that category. Wouldn't pay attention to the articles you hear like, oh, he's deciding between officially visiting FSU or Texas A&M. I think he'll officially visit FSU. I think that will happen. Mom wants him to take that visit. He wants to take that visit. Certainly Georgia, Alabama, I think are the biggest competitions for FSU, but I think really FSU shocked Nakobe when he went to the Saturday Night Live event, visited for about 3 or 4 days, really shocked him how much they approached him in a different way of not just football, but getting to know him personally, and I think he was shocked how much he liked it, and he's got a strong connection with a lot of the coaches. Really likes Mario Edwards, who he connected with, even though he's not a in-game coach, but he's a guy that he liked a lot, and I think he felt very comfortable with certainly Raymond Woody and those guys. So I think they have a really solid shot. I wouldn't say they're the leader, but I think they're a team that, certainly, like I said, when you get mom on board, that's a big advantage and that's a big plus, and I think FSU certainly has a strong shot.
Okay, let's go to Rowdy Knoll. Rowdy Knoll, this one comes from, I think he's actually a Warchant subscriber, I know, but he's posting this on YouTube. I know it's a crazy new world, everybody, but just bear with us. We're going to try and make this work. Hopefully you can hear me, but mainly, hopefully you guys can hear Michael. Rowdy Knoll wants to know, Mike, would you say that our lack of on-field quality might exterminate our chances with top-flight recruits? Michael, what do you think about that?
I didn't get the feeling that it's going to hurt their chances just because you have one bad game. I think kids, all these kids, they play for teams, and some of them never lose, and some of them do lose. So they understand the aspects of winning and losing. They understand that. They also understand, which sometimes the fans don't get, as we found out Monday night and Tuesday, and even this week, that when you have a new coaching staff, it takes time to vibe and get comfortable and run your system and everyone get into the same feel. And so I think recruits understand that better because they're around these coaches a lot. They understand the challenges they have. I think now if you do it for a full season where you're losing 5, 6, 7 games, yeah, it's going to hurt your recruiting. It's naturally going to hurt. But I don't think it affects them right now when you talk about one game. I mean, kids understand. The thing, I even talked to a lot of kids after this, that went to the Monday night game, and they were like, they wanted to see FSU play, but later in the season when they really wanted to see how good they are, a lot of them just told me, I want to see what the atmosphere was like, how I felt when I was there, just being around the students, what were they like. I think a lot of kids were looking at the atmosphere more than, we hope FSU just kills Virginia Tech. I think it was just, it's kind of a bonus, but because I think that's what they'll evaluate later this year.
Our next question comes from Panther Fan 13. Michael, what are your thoughts on Florida State's chances with Trey Sanders, running back from Apalachicola, but now down at IMG Academy?
Well, I think there's work to do. I think it's probably Alabama first, then Florida. I think Alabama's where he's previously committed and he decommitted, but I think Alabama's the place that he feels the most comfortable. He really likes the running backs coach there. I think FSU's in that third tier with other teams. I think FSU, he's supposed to come over for at least 2 games of what I was told from a family source, so he will see FSU a few times. So I think there's work to do, and FSU's got to show. But the thing is, too, FSU's so loaded at running back, as you see. I've seen already on the field. Obviously, Jacquez Patrick will graduate, I think, this year, and then you'll have Laybourne and all these guys. I mean, we still didn't even see Anthony Grant, who was a true freshman. So they're pretty stacked at running back, and I think Trey also knows that. So that's a challenge there. But I think FSU's chances will really be decided once he gets to see this team play, kind of evaluate how he would be used, and then kind of go from there from the chances. But if I was picking today, I would say Alabama is the team. If I had to make a pick today, I would pick Alabama for Trey Sanders.
No. All right, this is a question actually I'm going to have to handle real quickly, Michael. Cameron Gilliam asked, is that a picture of Jimbo screaming at a fan behind you? This is my man cave. That's a coach from Montana. His name is Bob Green. He no longer coaches, but he was just absolutely a gem of a human being. Awesome dude. So they gave away these at a game. I used to cover football in Montana, so I kept it. It's part of my motif. But you don't want to know more about me. You want to know more about recruiting. This comes from Justin Smith. Michael, he asked, who's the top choice for Florida State's second quarterback in this recruiting class? Because we know the first guy's obviously, Sam Howell.
I don't think there's like a pure, for surefire top choice for the second quarterback. I think, guys they're looking at are Peter Parrish from over there in Phoenix City. I know he struggled the first game of the year, but I think he's starting to get a groove. I think what I like, he would be my choice if I was picking, because what I like about him is when he can run, he's athletic, but he's also a guy that's going to be a developmental guy. He's not going to be a guy that comes in there the first year, bam, he's going to play. He's a good developmental guy. He's kind of different than Sam Howell, as far as what he brings, and he's a guy I like. Then the other one is Lance Legend. I can't even say his last name. Legendary, and he's used to be committed to Kansas. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce his name right, but he's a guy that's very athletic, probably even more athletic than Peter. Better passer, more pure as far as running the offense and comfortable. I think he's going to visit later this year officially for the Clemson game from what I hear. So those are 2 guys I'm kind of looking at. There might be more later, but I think those are the main 2 that I hear the most. There will be more. They're not pushing, though, for a second quarterback as hard. They feel really good about what they have with Sam Howell. If they add a second one, great. If they don't, they can load up on a few in 2020. But I think they would prefer to get one in the another one in the 2019 class. So that is something they hope to get done, but it kind of just fits if it fits their system and the guy they want.
All right, sorry about that. I got 2 laptops going. It's crazy over here. All right, this question, let's go. That was you, Jay Gutter 34 wanted a question about the quarterbacks, but I think you covered everything really well there, Michael. And look on the bright side. At least you don't have to say that. Thigh Fomeninamanach. Not Thibodeau's easy. What was the quarterback? I think did he commit to Clemson like from Connecticut or something? Like he had like a Vietnamese name. It was tough. So at least, yeah, Taysom. There you go. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that. This question comes from Jacob. Once again, he's got a question about Charles Cross. Can he make an immediate impact at offensive tackle as a freshman for Florida State?
No. To answer your question, no. Charles is going to be. He's very athletic. Going to take time to learn the system, and the speed of the game is going to be a little bit quicker. And the one thing you don't want true freshmen starting at offensive line. That's not something that's advised unless you have no choice. Now he could be a guy that comes in there, if your guys are wearing down and maybe play a few reps here and there as a freshman. But he's very athletic, great long arms. He can do everything that kind of what Fry wants, and he's kind of going to fit that Fry style of offensive tackles. Lean, athletic, can move really well, cut the edge off, handle those fast defenders on the defensive end. But I don't think you'll look for him. I think first year, get his body right, get him ready, learn the system, be focused on the playbook and all that stuff, and then maybe redshirt his first year, and then the second year he'll be ready to go. He'll be a guy that's going to be a major contributor, in my opinion.
All right, how about this one? Do you have any info on the 2 Lakeland High School teammates that will be visiting soon?
Those are guys we talked about in the Nuggets at the beginning. Lakeland High School teammates. One is defensive end Lloyd Summerall, and the other is DeMarcus Bowman.
Wait, is Lloyd Summerall at Lakeland now? He left Auburndale?
Yes. I know. We went there, and he actually told me at the 5-Star Challenge he was actually transferring to Lakeland. But Lloyd will be there. Like I said, I'm hearing some things about Lloyd talking more to FSU. He's kind of that flash speed rusher type that FSU likes, kind of how they use Brian Burns and other guys. There's flash defensive ends, and then there's other names. I can't even figure out what they do, but he kind of fits that flash speed rusher off the edge. I think all the schools in the state of Florida, like Miami, Florida, they're both heavily in it. I hear more about Miami, FSU as of yesterday. Of course, that could change, and tomorrow it'd be Florida. So, but I think certainly FSU is a team that was this team favorite growing up, but it's kind of been up and down as far as the interest. But I think he's a guy that didn't really show me a lot when I watched him at the 5-Star Challenge. He just didn't take a lot of reps. So I'm interested in watching him this year. I'm probably going to go to a game, see what he looks like. I've heard he's had already a really good season. I watched 2 of his first games, very quick off the edge. So he's a guy, it depends on how hard they push. If they push, look out. I think FSU can be a strong factor there. And then Bowman told me his dream school is FSU, but I don't know how hard they've been pushing. I think the reason he's coming for the visit, 1, he wants to see how the running backs are used. 2, I think he wants to see if they really want him. Because I don't know if he feels that way. I think Georgia's a team I hear a lot with him. Auburn's another team, Florida here and there, but I'd say mostly Georgia's a team I hear a lot, which is not surprising what Georgia does with backs, but I think he wants to see how much FSU wants him. So that's the best way I can answer the question. FSU's out of the picture right now, but that could change depending on how that visit goes this Saturday.
All right, you mentioned Georgia. Somebody's got a question. Daniel Tauser says, Florida State goes head-to-head with UJ for recruits in the state of Georgia. What is Georgia doing other than winning that's differently that's got them on such a roll compared to Florida State?
Well, they have a coach. It doesn't hurt when you get a really good defense coordinator from Alabama. That's a plus. But I think they're selling them that we're going to win. We're going to win right away, and they backed up that. And kids see that. It's excitement level. The culture's really fun. Kirby's comes across as a hip guy that they like to have fun with, and he, kind of not similar to Dabo as far as he likes to have fun, but kind of different in other ways. But I think kids have just bought into it, and the fact is proof's in the pudding. I mean, you got there, and then immediately they're in the national championship game. So I think that's a big plus. And they're selling as far as we're going to be a hard-nosed defense. We're going to make plays, and we're going to win championships. And that's what he sold, and that's why they're doing so well. Winning helps. Win causes that, but also the environment you establish at Georgia, he's done a really good job with that.
All right, here's a very popular name, George Pickens, wide receiver, Hoover High. What's the latest on him, Michael?
Well, I think George is certainly very intrigued and interested in FSU. He's an Auburn commit. I think he's saying all the right things, like, "Hey, I'm very firm to Auburn," but I think he's very much looking at FSU very hard, and I think he's very interested. Has a great bond with Sam Howell. I think the big key is George and watching what these teams do. He wants to see what that FSU offense does throughout the whole year. Good thing he wasn't there Monday night. That was a little struggle, obviously. But I think he wants to see what the team does all year. I think how FSU's offense does is going to play a big factor into where ultimately George ends up, whether that's Auburn playing good on offense or Georgia or whatever school or Florida State teams he's considering. I think that's going to be a big key for him because I think with the culture he really likes. I think the culture really fits him. He's very comfortable with FSU with the culture, and I think that's already made a big plus. He's even said on Twitter several times that FSU's making a big push, and he's feeling it. So you can tell the push is there, but now FSU has to show it on the field, and if they do that, they get this offense fixed. They're a team that is a serious candidate for George Pickens.
Kyle Linton asks, Michael, what are Florida State's chances with Cardell Thomas?
Well, I think a lot of that depends on the season, both for FSU and LSU. LSU got the early win over Miami, but you look at their schedule; they have one of the toughest schedules in the country. Probably, I'd say they're going to lose like 4 or 5 games, 6, maybe 6. So if that happens, I've heard he's already on the hot seat, Ed O over there at LSU. So if he gets fired, that really opens the door up for FSU. I think they'd have a really good chance of pulling Cardell. I think he likes what they offer. I think he'll officially visit for either the Clemson or Florida game. I think that's what he told me, but he would definitely officially visit FSU. But also on the flip side, FSU has to show their improvement in offense. I think if they do that, they're going to have a really good shot. But they definitely have a solid shot. This isn't fake news sitting in some of their network. This is like real news that he really legitimately likes FSU. He likes what they do. He likes how he feels. He likes Coach Fry. He connects with him. But as I said, that's the first part of the equation. The second part is what these teams do during the season. And but FSU is definitely a factor. I even checked on that today, and I was told the same thing from somebody that was close to Cardell, and they told me, yes, very strong factor, certainly. And so he's one to watch later in the season.
What are you talking about, fake news? What about on the hot seat? I want us to beat Miami. I've been in a big game. I'm going anywhere. Go Tigers. One team, one heartbeat.
This question, let's see here, comes from Pope Pimp, Michael. He asks, is Florida State going to go after any junior college offensive linemen?
I think that's a good idea. I don't know if they are yet. I haven't heard any names yet, but I think it's very likely and possible. I think it's smart, especially with their immediate need at offensive tackle. It's not a strong year for offensive tackle throughout the whole country, so I think that's a really good idea to get if they can get a JUCO in there to help right away and even fill depth and maybe even start if you get the right guy. So I think JUCO offensive tackle is certainly a possibility. I've heard that it's a possibility, but I haven't heard any names, so I can't really elaborate on that. But I think that is a very distinct possibility.
What about South Georgia? Everybody loves South Georgia. They always develop a really tough, hard-nosed sort of a athlete. Are any kids from South Georgia that Florida State seems to be high on right now, Michael?
Well, I think the main one is Tresman Marshall. I think he's the main guy. There's a lot of talent there, a lot of really good talent. I spend a lot of time on Friday nights, as a lot of people know, going to South Georgia because I love that kind of football. Actually going to see Lowndes play Lincoln in a couple weeks, I think next weekend at Lowndes. So right now I would say, Tresman's the main fish. Obviously you already have Kaelon DeLoach in the boat. You already have Curtis Fan, who's in the boat from those areas. There's certainly other guys, but those are the only main guys that have been mentioned to me or relayed to me as far as guys they're locked in on. Another good running back is DJ Lundy, a running back out of Irwin County. He's a 2020 running back. He's a guy that I think certainly they're taking an eye on. A lot of these, people got to understand too, Alonzo Hampton, special teams coach, he's from Tift County, so he knows this area really well. They're looking into all these guys. I don't have more names than that, but I'm certainly, by next week, I should be able to get you guys some heavy names as far as main targets, if there is any more in 2019.
How about the big offensive lineman from Tampa that we visited during our spring recruiting tour, Big Will Putnam from Plant High School? What's the latest on him, Michael?
I think it's still pretty much the same as a two-way battle. FSU, Auburn. I checked again last night with my contact, and despite that game, they still feel FSU's a slight leader over Auburn. They still feel that way. He's going to visit Auburn on the 14th for an official visit. I think FSU one will be at the Clemson game, from what I was told, the official visit then. And then after that, I could see him making the decision. So I think FSU will get the last official visit. But I think things are still the same. Obviously, Auburn's coming on strong. Like I said, FSU's slight leader. So that's kind of where things stand. He's kind of, me and Will texted a little bit this weekend, and he's just really locked in on his team, high school team, Plant, and locked in on the season. So he's not really paying too much attention to recruiting, doing too much stuff, too much visiting. Was actually going to come last week, but there was a problem with the family at home that he couldn't go. But he was planning on going. But he will be at FSU, probably for official and unofficial. But he's just really locked into his team this year, and I think it's a tight battle with Auburn. And I think that's still the same. It's going to be one of those two.
How about the most recent commitment, Nick Cross? How firm is he in that commitment?
Oh, he's rock solid, guys. I don't usually say this with kids that take visits and stuff like that, but Nick's always told me, like, when I decide, that's it. He comes from a strong valued family. That's why it took him so long with the commitment, and he wanted to make sure his dad and his mom made it clear, like, once you commit, that's it. We're not going to keep doing this. And he's pretty locked in, and they gave him all the information he needed, but FSU's where he wanted to be. He's always wanted to be at FSU. The only way I could see something like just a disastrous, like 10-loss season or something, where some kind of coaching shake-up or whatever, it would take something like that, because he's very locked into FSU. Brings a really just a go-getter type of attitude at safety. He can play strong. He can play free. Really hard hitter. Very good cover safety. He's shown that at the opening. He was one of the best defensive backs there. I've heard he was the best DB, but he can just close in the football so quickly, and he's going to bring a lot of that to that. He kind of fits that Harlan Barnett style of play, where he wants hard-nosed, hitting, physical defensive backs, and I think he certainly fits that. So great fit. They've loaded up in the secondary this year. I think if there's one area I would say FSU's got an A+ already in recruiting, it's secondary. They have killed it. They are doing a great job.
Well, right now it seems like they're A+ with their backfield. Maybe didn't produce that way on Monday. Both Cam Akers, Kalen LeBourne, Jacques Patrick, Anthony Grant, Amir Rasul, the list goes on. Where's the running backs? I guess what are some of the names that Florida State is going after, and what are you hearing on that position, Michael?
Well, running back's one of those positions where I think they would be okay if they didn't sign one in this class. They're kind of stressed on numbers. I think you're at 17 commitments right now. You're talking about, obviously, Michael Morris. I've discussed him many times. I don't think he'll be in the class. Quayshawn Fuller, that kind of defensive end, that kind of depends on if FSU wants. If FSU wants him, Quayshawn will be in the class. I know he's visiting Florida. I know he takes visits, but if FSU wants him, he's going to go to FSU. But so if you subtract Morris, that gives you 16. So that gives you, I think they're going to sign between 21 to 23. So there's not a lot of spots left. So I don't think running back they're really pushing. I think Ty Edwards is a guy to keep an eye on. I think he's a guy they really like as a staff. Dante Pimpleton really likes him from what I hear. So he's a guy to watch if get any running back. I think if FSU wants him and he's a take, he's gonna be a Seminole. So that's really the thing I'm watching. I'm staying in touch. Going to actually see Ty in a couple weeks. Play. He's already tearing it up this year. I think he's averaging like 200 yards a game and having a great year. But he's the guy that I'm focused on. I'm not really focused on Trey Sanders. I don't think they're going to get him. But also, I think FSU staff's coming around on Ty. They really are starting to fall in love with him. So if the numbers fit, I think he's a guy that you could possibly take. If they don't take Ty, I just think they'll pass on the running back.
This question was buried from a lot earlier in the show. Hopefully they're still with us. But they wanted to know about Florida State and whether they're still pursuing David Baldwin, the quarterback out of IMG Academy.
I have not heard anything about David Baldwin being a guy they're pursuing. He actually started off really rough for the season at IMG. He wasn't even the starter. Now I think he is the starter. I think I put him in that Peter Parrish role where you wouldn't mind taking a guy like that because he's a developmental guy. He's athletic. He can do some different things with his athleticism. It's going to take a while to come around with his passing. Same thing with Peter. So I haven't heard anything with FSU pursuing him still. I'll check on that, guys. I will definitely have an answer for you next week. But I have not heard anything about FSU pursuing him for a while, probably since the early spring. But I don't think it'd be a bad idea because I think, like I said, developmental guys, that's what you want as your second quarterback. You already got your bell cow. You got your next star in the making in Sam Howell. But you also need a guy that can bring along, develop, and kind of give you the needed depth there. So I think David's a possibility, but right now I have not heard that FSU's recruiting him or pursuing him at all.
Another question about Charles Cross. Is he due for a ranking bump up, do you think, Michael?
Well, I think that depends on when, the rivals guys, like I think that's Chad Simmons' area. I think when Chad goes to see him and he performs, I think, as the season goes on, probably mid-season, I think you could possibly see him bumped up to 4-star. I personally would have him as a low 4-star right now. That's where I'd have him because, he's not there with technique and everything, but athletically, length, all that stuff, speed, he can do it all what you look for. And that fits a low 4-star caliber type of player. So I think eventually he will get to that 4-star rate, but I think a lot of that depends on the rivals team seeing him. And then once they see him, if he performs like I think he will, I think you could see that bump probably mid-season.
I don't know if you hear anything ringing right now, Michael, but ring. If you had to guess, who would be the next person to join Tribe 19?
Whew, man, that's tough now with Cross on board. There isn't really anybody that's planning on deciding soon. I guess if you had to pick one, probably either Derek Hall or William Putnam, because they might decide mid-season. Tyler Davis is another one. Probably I put Tyler even higher than those guys because I think Tyler, next time Tyler comes, he's supposed to come with his mom. That's a big part of the visit. So I think if FSU hits a home run with a visit and nails it with mom and knocks everything out of the park, he's a guy to watch for commit watch. So I'd probably pick Tyler if I had to pick one. Close, heavy battle with Clemson. I don't think Ohio State's too much of a factor, or either is Miami. But if they knock it out of the park next time he visits, which I think will be this weekend, I think he's the guy that could be the next.
How about people who are shaky in their commitment? Are there any sort of soft verbals, or is there anybody that's on the fence that you feel not too confident with Florida State's chances in terms of their commitment sticking?
I think the main guy is the guy I've already covered, Michael Morse. I don't think he'll be in this class, barring some miracle. People keep mentioning offensive tackle. Look, guys, I'll be as simple as I can get. Michael does not want to play offensive tackle. He would decommit if anybody recruits him in that position from FSU. So that's not going to happen. So with that being said, he wants to play tight end. I think Tennessee's heavily in there, but I hear Michigan's the favorite. So I don't expect him to be in the class. Quayshawn Fuller's kind of shaky with some people, I guess, in fans, but I've already explained to him it's basically if FSU wants him, he's a diehard Seminole fan. If FSU wants him in the class, he'll be in there. But I guess you could put him in the shaky role because you don't know the unexpected. With things looking, the way they do with Thibodeau, you wonder how much they're going to push to keep Quayshawn in it. But sounds like they still want Quayshawn even if Thibodeau committed. So I have a feeling that, if I was picking the day, I think Quayshawn would sign with FSU. But certainly Morris is the main one. I know people mention Akeem Dent and Dante Lucas, all these guys. It's like, guys, it's going to take something significant for those guys not to sign with FSU. I just can't see them switching. I don't think there's anybody else that comes to mind as commitment that's really that shaky.
How about somebody who's been rock solid, it seems like, in their commitment? Drew Thompson. We got a question here in terms of Drew Thompson. What's his ceiling? They're hearing a lot of good things about him right now in high school, but where does he project? How good can he be at the next level?
I think he's a very good nose guard. I mean, he's dominated every camp he's been to at FSU. Woody Womack went to see him this week, and he said out of all the Grayson defensive players, he was the best, the most productive. He stood out the most, and I'm glad that Woody got to see that because I think a lot of people kind of downplay because Drew plays nose guard. Nose guard's about the most unglamorous position because they're the ones that create havoc. They're in there to disrupt things. Drew does that at a very high level. I think he's going to disrupt things kind of the same way what you saw when Derek Nanati was here. I mean, the same way. He was short, probably not as short as True, but he was short. But they both get great leverage. They both use their hands really well, good placement, and they're both very quick, and they disrupt a lot. And that's what True brings. And he's a guy that I think will in the next ranking. I could see him being a 4-star. I think he really impressed the Rivals team. You got to remember too, Grayson last week. You're talking about 5-star Owen Papa playing on that team. I mean, so that's very impressive for True to be the best guy out there or most productive. So I think he's a guy that's probably the most unappreciated recruit, commitment that FSU has. But he's a guy I've always liked. He's performed every setting I've seen.
Howard Allen Jr., tackle. I don't know, seems familiar. Where does Florida State stand with him, Michael?
That one just depends on the push from FSU. Howard has some great issues that are concerns. So that's a thing they got to look into. Assuming he gets that straight, then I think he's a guy that FSU will certainly go after. He kind of fits that Fry state of mind, athletic, can develop really well, very fast. This kid gets off the ball really quick, and they really liked what they saw when he came to camp there. So I think he's a guy that really depends on the grades. And I think if they push, FSU's always been his favorite school, so that's going to depend on, the chances there is going to depend on, one, the improvement in the grades and making sure he gets everything taken care of, and two, how he continues to do this season. But I'd say coming off camp, I think FSU, pretty liked what they saw.
All right, this question comes from Rowdy Knoll. Mike, how has having a young, charismatic African-American head coach paid off so far in recruiting?
Well, I think it's paid off having a guy that loves FSU, that comes off and loving FSU, not just an African-American. I think what kids relate to with Willie is he's honest. He doesn't mind bringing his youthful spirit out, and he doesn't mind being honest, and doesn't mind getting out there and having fun with them. And as Tyler Davis told me one time, we feel like he's one of us, when I'm around him. And I think he connects with young men. It doesn't matter if you're an African-American, you're white, it doesn't matter what nationality you are. I mean, I think what he does is he shows you the culture and what he believes in and what he was taught as a young kid, and the struggles he went through, and his view on life, and not just football. He looks at these players more like people than they are property, or just what can you give me as far as your talent. So I think that's why he's been able to connect so well.
Sorry about that. I had to text the lady friend. She's wondering what I'm doing. All these people love recruiting. They love recruiting all times of the year. And we're coming close to the top of the hour. We got a lot of people joining us. We got about 200 folks in the room now. Michael, I guess can you just recap some of the questions? People are still asking about George Pickens, Nakobe Dean. These people who are just joining the chat late. If you could maybe catch them up on George Pickens, Nakobe Dean, as well as the whole losing bad in front of Kayvon Thibodeau, but whether or not that really affects Florida State's chances with him.
I'm going to try to do these one time. If I forget, then as long as just remind me. George Pickens, as I said, I think that's going to end up being an FSU-Auburn battle. I think he is very, very interested in FSU. His mom really liked it at FSU from what I was told. He really liked Sam Howell. He connected. The culture, I've heard the culture was the best that he's seen in any place. And the main thing left is the offense. I think that's going to be a big part of his decision. And if the FSU offense looks good, kind of shows what we think they can be as far as when everyone's on the same page. Dynamic offense can attack you in multiple ways. I think if they show that, look out. It's going to get really interesting because FSU's close to home. It's not too far from home. I mean, it's in the South. He likes that. And also wouldn't discard that his offensive coordinator would be Walt Bell. Walt's very close with the Hoover head coach and that staff, so he knows he'll be taken care of with the next coaching staff. It was FSU, so I think that's going to be the main factor is how FSU does on the field. If they do really well, they're going to have a really good shot. But if they don't, probably end up at Auburn. So that's kind of cut and dry of that. Kobe Dean's kind of, he's going to officially visit FSU. I'm very confident on that. I think he'll eventually come out and say it, but I think he will officially visit there. Big key with Nakobe, like I said, Mom wants him at FSU. She doesn't just kind of I like FSU. She loves Willie Taggart. She loves Raymond Woody. Like, I would say out of any coach in America, she's closest with Raymond Woody. Like, she loves that staff. So we all know how Mom is as far as getting on board. You get her on board, it's a good chance you get the kid. So I think that's a big key. And I think Nakobe was really shocked at what the culture was like at FSU. And also saw that, a lot of people saw the game in like 20, but recruits' view of stuff is, man, I can get in there and play. They really need me. I can come in there. And I think Nakobe sees that, and that's a big factor too as far as FSU. He can come in there, make a big impact, knows it's a great defense, and can be a big player there. I forget the last question, Aslan.
Thibodeau, whether or not losing was a big deal.
No, it wasn't a big deal with Thibodeau with losing. I think FSU would still be my pick. I don't think anything changes with my pick with that. I think people need to understand, like, I think Thibodeau covered that in our interview, is it's more than football just with him. He's the number one. Yeah, he's one of the best players in the country. Yes, he wants to play for a great team, but he's very sold on Mark Snyder as a defensive ends coach. They connect well. He connects with everyone on that staff, but it's more than just football with him. It's what the people are like there, and it's just different at FSU compared to any other place. And I would still stick with my pick that Thibodeau will be, a Seminole if I was picking today.
Shout out to Darian Wilston, by the way. He's joining the chat. He says, man, I had no idea what you guys look like. Good to put a name to a face. Go Noles. Let's see here. We got a question about Jaleel McRae. How's he look so far coming off injury, Michael?
Really, Jaleel McRae has looked really good so far this year. Probably out of all the linebackers, I think out of the commits, I think he's playing better than anybody. Had a pick six, his first game. He's averaging like 6 tackles a game. They're mainly using him as linebacker and safety, so he's playing a little bit of both. Very athletic, gets off blocks quick. FSU fans are going to love this kid. And I've said it before, this kid would be, he's already in the 250. This kid would be a for sure fire Rivals 100 guy if he didn't hurt his leg. I mean, he hurt his leg, so that kind of downgraded his ranking and kind of the prestige of him. But he's a guy that's an immediate impact guy at linebacker. He's a guy that's going to play right away, I think, at FSU. He fits exactly what they want, and that was a big pickup for them early on.
All right. Bart Ross asks, and we've kind of talked about quarterbacks a little bit, but does Bailey leaving, does that create any more urgency to get a good top-flight second option behind Sam Howell in this class?
Yeah, I think it pushes you to – it kind of fills into what I've been saying earlier about getting two developmental athletic choose between two athletic quarterbacks that are going to need some time to develop, like Peter Parrish and David Baldwin. I think it's important to get that guy, and I think they know that. The staff knows that. I think you will see them get a second quarterback. Does it mean they're putting everything in and they're just going to take anybody? No. It's going to have to be a guy that fits what they do. But if they get that guy, like one of those dudes, I think they will have a second quarterback. And I think it's likely they'll add a second quarterback in this class because they understand the depth concerns that are there with just two scholarship quarterbacks.
Big Joseph Williamson asks, any sleepers out there right now for Florida State that we might not be too well aware of?
Not yet. That's any a sleeper that I haven't covered in the hot or the 12 to watch, which I just released I think last week. I think that was pretty much detailed about every single guy that they're in. Certainly, the sleepers usually don't happen until, I'd say, mid-season, around the 5th, 6th game, and then I usually start getting a lot of calls about, hey, this guy you got to check out, and like that's how I found out about Tamari and Terry, and and then the rest took care of itself. But that's usually what happens. So I think around the 5th, 6th game, I think I'll have some names for you guys, not that are sleepers or not guys that are highly rated, but guys to watch that FSU could push for.
FSU All Day asks Evan Neal, how do you feel about Florida State's chances with him?
Well, right now they got work to do, but he will officially visit FSU. I feel good about that. I think he loves Taggart. I think it's kind of like Thibodeau, his connection with Taggart. I think he feels really great with him. He likes Fry. I just don't think he's really in a hurry. If I had to pick a leader, I'd say Alabama's probably the leader if I had to pick one team. But I think his process is going to go late. It's going to be really late. Obviously, having his cousin here doesn't hurt, but I don't think his main factor. The main thing is his comfort around the coaches and how he feels around them. And certainly playing time will be there for FSU, probably over any other school. Alabama, they get 5 stars every year. So the wait for Evan might take a while there if you went there. But I think at FSU you could play earlier, obviously closer to home. So I think there's some stuff working for FSU there. I mean, there could be some momentum, but I think a lot of it's like he needs to see, it kind of goes back to what I've been saying about the offense. We need to see what this offense is going to do through a full year. And then if it's good, like I said, if he wins, he's going to kill it in recruiting. If he doesn't, it's going to be more difficult. So that offense is big. Offense production does well. I think he's going to be a guy that gets really serious about FSU.
Sam Howell, how does the skill set fit into this offense? And if you could compare him to any college or pro quarterback, who would it be, Michael?
Whew, that's tough. He's kind of different because you watch him, kind of runs like Tebow when you watch him, or Baker Mayfield, or guys like that. Not fast, but very quick, sheds blocks really well, gets off the blocks really well, throws a really pretty ball. Ball placement is excellent for this kid. I think he'll fit right in. He knows Walt Bell really well, so the connection in knowing him and know what he's looking for, certainly going to bring a lot as far as the passing game. He knows how to. One thing I noticed when you watch him play, and even Ben Roethlisberger would be a name. He knows how to get away from the scramble. He knows how to keep plays alive so his playmakers can get open. He knows how to keep that stuff alive. Now, what you see in high school is him running after a play. But now I think what you'll see in college when he gets to FSU is keep those plays alive and then hit our receivers, not just you running. So I think that's what they'll kind of look for him. But brings a lot to the table. He's been the top target for a while, and I think he's going to be a very good quarterback at FSU, and certainly a very good fit for what Willie Taggart likes and Walt Bell likes.
All right, everybody's impatient. We want to see guys report to campus and make plays instantly. So who's the Jaden Woodby of Tribe 19? Who's the guy most likely to come in day one and making an instant impact?
That's really tough. I guess if I had to pick one, I would go with Akeem Dent, cornerback. He's
Sauce Magic.
Yeah, Sauce Magic, my man, Sauce Magic. We love me and Aslan talk about it all the time. We love. That was one of our favorite visits. I just think he has the attitude to come in there. He's not gonna be bothered by competition. He's a guy who can come right in there, make plays. He loves to compete. He loves to be challenged. He's got it. And the thing is, kids from the Muck, and he's from the Muck area. They have short memories when they play. They just on to the next play. And I think he's a guy that just can take over games, and he's a big time prospect there. But I would say him and Jaleel McCray at linebacker. Those are two guys that I think will certainly play right away.
Speaking of Sauce Magic, a.k.a. Akeem Dent, a.k.a. the Playmaker, a.k.a. Muck City, let's see here, targets at corner. Who else are they pursuing at the cornerback position, Michael?
I think they're pretty satisfied with what they have. They have Renardo Green, I think they have Akeem Dent, and they have Travis J. from Madison County. That's 3 cornerbacks. I don't think they really need another corner. Now, if a highly rated guy comes in the picture like Kiera Elam or somebody like that, I think they would take him, but they're very selective on that. I think the main thing is, Raymond Woody at safety is really the final one. Could play linebacker if they wanted to, but I think really the last DB is probably going to be Raymond Woody, and they like him a lot, very athletic. They don't even know what position they play him at, probably strong safety if I had to guess, maybe linebacker, but he's a guy I do feel FSU is likely for, but not a lock. But I think corner, they're pretty satisfied with what they have. I mean, the main thing is keeping these guys committed and going from there. I think they feel really good about it.
I got to look at this name. It was like Yakika Dafi Fi was asking about Raymond Woody, asking if he's a priority. Sounds like it. Let's see here. I see everyone's questions, but some of them are probably tough to answer. Someone's asking, it looks like Said was asking about how many more players do we expect to transfer or leave. I mean, that's kind of hard to speculate. I won't put Michael on the spot on that. And how about this? Let's go to that's about Raymond Woody. What I was looking at. We got corner. I'm like losing track. Oh yeah, numbers. Everybody always cares about numbers. Wayne O'Connor's asking Michael, what does it look like ultimately? Is the number 20, 21 signings?
First, I was told 2021. Now, lately, this week, I've been told 21 to 23. So it might get up to 23 from what I hear. So that's I would put that down. 23 is kind of the number. Wouldn't surprise me if it expanded more. This stuff happens, with numbers. I wouldn't get so locked in that stuff, but 23 is what I hear.
There, punch up there on one. I did type out a message. Sorry about that, Michael. They're asking about junior college offensive linemen again. Late arriving people to the show, which is fine. It's a soft launch. We didn't want to be like, everybody be here at 8:15, and then it just totally wouldn't work. So we're just quietly like, hey, psst, if you're awake and you want to watch. Yeah. So let's see here. We've got some more questions coming down the pipeline here. Yeah, I mean, another question. People keep asking about Willie and the loss, and that's going to affect anybody. I mean, Michael, you've been covering recruiting for so long. Wins and losses are important to fans, but really when it comes down to recruits, how important are wins and loses?
It's not really important because kids are looking, as long as you don't lose like 5 or 6 games, it's not as big of a thing. I mean, say you lose 3 games. Kids not going to be affected by that. If they see the system and how their position is used, say you have an electric environment, you're good there. But the main thing is their position is they want to see what they look like, how dynamic it is. I mean, did they see themselves there? And also when they take the official visit, they want to see what's their comfort level as a student when they're there, and do you actually care about them as people, not just player, and you're not going to do diddly for them when, as far as academics, it's like everything's just right there, and they know that's the things they're going to be looking for. So the records, they impact things, but only if it's really, really bad, like 5, 6 losses. Besides that, it's not going to really impact a kid as far as deciding. I mean, it's like, I know a lot of people have short memories, but back when Georgia was winning like 7, 8 games a year, Georgia was racking in these kids that with just 8 wins because, I mean, they see what Georgia could be, and they saw what they're, could possibly launch to, and the thing is like kids don't look at the same ways. Fans look at it emotionally. Kids look at it from the big picture because it affects their whole life. So they have to look at everything that their football athletic career will entail. So they can't look at it like fans like, oh, you didn't win that week, so you're not getting that kid. It's like, no, they look at it where they have to look at the stuff outside of football.
Yeah, Michael just said that children approach us a lot more pragmatically than us grown men. It's crazy how that works. We had some more questions about offensive line. I guess somebody asked, it looked like Kenneth, I think his name was it Kenneth Newby? Yeah, shout out Kenneth, was asking, are there any center prospects Florida State's pursuing? And I guess just big picture offensive line. I know you've already mentioned, but we got some late arriving folks that obviously after what they saw on Monday, they want to know who's next in line, what other offensive linemen are out there.
I think the center prospect, I don't see them. I think they're mainly focused on tackles. The rest of this class will be tackles. You have Charles Cross. You have Dante Lucas, who I think could play center if he wanted to. But I think you rather want him at guard because he can just destroy people. He's just such a road grader. But I think the majority of this class is going to be tackles. That's what they need the most. Their team, they're pretty solid on guards. They feel pretty good about the guard situation. So I don't think or center. I think they're not really pushing for centers or guards. So I'm not going to really list guys because that's not. I haven't heard much about them recruiting that many centers or guards. I think they're locked in on tackles. They want tackles. Obviously, the only guard I think they would look at is Cardell Thomas, and why wouldn't he's the number 1 player in the offensive line in the country, and he can play tackle if you want to because he's so athletic and fast. But right now, I'd say they're not really that involved in centers.
How about this guy? We had to drive long way to see this guy. Long way. Quavaris Crouch. What's the latest on him, Michael? I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, he hasn't really done much, Quavaris Crouch. I mean, he's pretty much just laid low. Doesn't really do a lot of recruiting stuff. Doesn't do a lot of interviews. I think it's FSU, Clemson, and Tennessee. I think those teams are still the same. I don't think anything's changed with that. He's already stated he's going to officially visit FSU. He will be here for the Florida game, which is big, because it gives a whole year for FSU to recruit him. I also think he will be here for the Clemson game. I was just told that today, that he will be here for the Clemson game. So I think he will visit for both of those games. Clemson's also one of the teams he's considering, probably in the closest to home. So that's a big game. We talk about impact of games, that there are impact in games as far as if you win or lose. So that would help if FSU could make a big surprise there. But I think he's very active with FSU. He really likes Raymond Woody a lot. Anytime Raymond Woody's involved with a recruit, that's a good thing for FSU. If he's the main recruiter. I think they're very much in the picture. I think he wants to see what these linebackers do, and he'll have a couple of chances to see them play when, how the defense looks. And I think he already feels that comfort in culture and all that stuff we've already beat to death all off season, but I think he wants to see what this defense does and how he fits into it. And so I think a lot depends on these official visits that he takes.
Kicker, punter. Do they have to go after a kicker or a punter, Michael? Do you know?
I don't think they're going to have room for a kicker or punter. And if they do have to go after a kicker, it'll probably be the Ryan Fitzgerald kid from Colquitt County. They like him a lot. He visited for the Monday game. I think that's a guy, if they were going to take one, and he'd probably be a gray shirt because they really don't have the ships to send out, so he'd probably be a gray shirt. But Ryan Fitzgerald would be the guy. He can punt and he can kick. Incredible kicker. I saw him a couple weeks ago when they played the St. Louis team from St. Louis, Missouri. Just crushed him. This kid has an incredible. He's the best kicker. I mean, I watched the kid, the number 1 rated kicker. He's going to Alabama. I forget his name. And I watched Ryan. Ryan's the best kicker that I've seen this year. Kicks in the end zone every time. Got serious distance on his kicks, and he's a guy that I would watch if I was an FSU fan, because I think he's the guy. And he wants to be at FSU. Kind of shows with all the visits he's taken there. So I think if they take one, it's going to be Ryan Fitzgerald.
Little Rock Soldier 5150 keeps asking about when's this offense going to turn the corner. This is the recruiting chat. It's the recruiting chat. If you want to know what's going on with the team, Wake Up Warchant podcast.
I wish I had an answer to that.
That's what you're going to have to listen to.
I would just say, guys, my experience, it takes time where you got to understand, like, these guys have never run this offense. Like, never. Like, FSU in its history has never run anything similar to this. Most similar thing they run is the fast break offense of Charlie Ward. That's about the only thing that's close. These guys are running totally different systems. When teams are adjusting and giving you something you haven't seen, it's going to be time to adjust. So just give it time, see what they do, and I'm sure they'll improve as they get more comfortable.
Renardo Green, does he deserve a recruiting bump?
Oh, yeah. He definitely does. I think he's a guy that, in my opinion, rivals 100 type of ceiling for his talent. I don't think he should be ranked there, but I think that ceiling is where he could be at. But I think Rivals 250 should be in there. Should be. I think I don't know if he's a 4-star yet. I don't think he is, but he definitely should be a 4-star, as I alluded to in our ranking breakdown. But I think he will get that 4-star, and I think he's a guy that. What I like about Renardo is, and I love this about corners, when they get up there and they're physical and they tackle. And this kid loves to hit. And so he's going to be a great fit. He's going to be a fan favorite, and I think his ranking will eventually go up.
Kalen DeLoach, is he 100% committed, Michael?
Yeah, he's all in. I mean, he was the one commitment that came forward right after the game, and he's like, don't worry, guys, we're fine. He's like, we're going to be fine. He understands that everyone's got to just get everything set, and defense got to get comfortable. But he was very impressed with the defense. He had a great time. He is definitely very solid at FSU.
All right, keep this one like 30 seconds as we keep beating up on quarterbacks, but Stevens asked us twice. Does a second quarterback commit, does that affect Sam Howell's commitment to Florida State?
No, that's why I think it's very important to get a guy that's a developmental guy like David Ball or Peter Parrish or Lance Legendary or David Baldwin, if they decide that you recruit him. I think it's important to get, as long as you get a developmental guy and he's not some threat to him. Sam's very solid at FSU, so I don't think it impacts him too much unless you get like another Rivals 100 guy. Then you start talking about, it's hard to keep 2 quarterbacks that are highly rated in the same class, so I think that's really the thing to watch. But I don't think that's happening. I think they'll get another good developmental quarterback.
I don't want a developmental quarterback. We need studs. We need guys ready to go. I don't want no more JJs, no more Sean McGuire's. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. Okay, let's see here. Next question. Why are we falling on Savell Smalls?
I don't think they're falling for Savell Smalls. He was going to take a trip to FSU for the second time on his own dime. Seattle isn't exactly right next to Tallahassee, guys. Like, Seattle's like way, way west. Like, he actually texted me, to give me kind of advance notice. He's like, Mike, we just don't have the expenses in my family to make that trip that far, but we were going to be there for the Clemson game and probably even the Florida game. He's very close with Trayshawn. They're not falling. Yes, there's teams in the mix like, Oregon and USC, but he really likes FSU. Florida's up there on his list. There's other teams. Alabama's up there. But I don't think they're falling. I haven't heard anything, and I talked to a few people even to check on. They say, nah, there's no change with FSU. He likes it. He wanted to be there, but now we just have to see what it kind of goes to with the season if the defense continues to show what they can do, and he wants to see what the atmosphere is like at FSU. So he really, really wanted to go to that game, but it was just too taxing as far as the money. And but he will see FSU, so I wouldn't sweat that. They're not falling yet.
All right, we're going to do a little bit of the last call. We'll start wrapping up some more. Last call, your questions, folks, because Michael will stay here all night. This is my house. I want to watch some NFL football. So first night, I just want to live a little bit. I have a day off tomorrow. It's going to be great. This comes from Reginald. He says, I heard what you said about not wanting freshmen to start on the O-line, but are there any offensive line prospects that could start as a freshman? Could it be a Dante Lucas? Thank you, Michael, he says.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Good question. Who was that from?
Reginald.
Reginald. Man, that's a good question.
Not Reginald, but R-E-G-I. Noel. Clever.
Good question. Yes, there is. Dante Lucas is that guy. And the reason I say that is this offense is not like overly complex. And if you've watched what me and Aslan watched from Dante Lucas, this guy just mauls and kills people. Like he blesses them. The Pope. This blesses him. So if I had to pick one, he's definitely a guy. He's got the body frame. He's ready. Physically, he's strong. He'd be able to handle the strength as far as the college. Speed of the game would really be the thing that he had to adjust to. But if he adjusted to that, I think he would be just fine. Because, I mean, this kid, when he gets his hands on you, it's over. Like, you're going backwards. So he's definitely a guy that I would put in there as far as play as a freshman. If there's one you want playing as a freshman, he would be that guy. He's kind of like, I view him as like the Marvin Wilson on the offensive side of the ball, where you want Marvin out there, and Marvin can just do so many different things when he's healthy. So I think Dante kind of fits that.
All right, I think the name is Yakiki Dafi 954. I don't know if I said it right. Yakiki Dafi. We're going to go with that. Another question about Trey Sanders. Will he come on an official visit, or is running backs not a priority for Florida State?
Running back's not really a priority. Do I think he officially visits? I don't know that yet. Do I think he'll unofficially visit? Yes. He's definitely going to come for more than likely the Clemson game. And I think the key there is he's going to see how he feels about everything, what he sees with FSU. And then once that happens, then he'll kind of know if it's a team he'll officially visit. I think he'll decide then if he's going to officially visit FSU. But I think the plan is come see FSU, the Clemson game, then go from there. But right now, I think Alabama is the favorite.
Dion, 850 Florida's got a Rattler logo. Go fam. I know it's a recruiting show, but when will Kalen LeBourne get more carries?
I think it's coming, guys. And I think a lot of that is just learning the different things he needs to do at the line of scrimmage, different things in blocking. That's the only – I mean, Dalvin Cook didn't play a lot when he was a freshman because of the blocking. Devontae Freeman didn't play a lot as a freshman because of the blocking. Blocking assignments for running backs is very key in them getting on the field. So I think once he learns that stuff, obviously he knows the plays. He's been there for 2 years now. This is his second year, redshirt the first year. So I think he will get more care. And he's just so dynamic. And I get it, guys. You see what I see. The guy's more dynamic than anybody out there. There's nobody as fast at running back, and there's nobody as dynamic as he is. And I think you'll see that. Give it time. Let Taggart do their thing. But I think you'll see a lot of Kalen LeBourne.
All right, sorry about that, Mike. Sorry for the delay. I closed this laptop, the second laptop, which lets me monitor and make sure that we're live because it's dying. And I tried to unplug the one that's you're plugged into, and it started making a weird humming sound. I'm like, I don't want to ruin this. We made it so good. Let's see here. I'm going on Warchant right now. It's so funny because everybody on YouTube's like, this is really great. And then there's a guy on Warchant that's like, this sucks. Can't make everybody happy all the time. Let's see if we got any more questions to get to. or if there's any other thing to touch on. If you want to know about Levante Taylor, guys, again, it's not it's a recruiting show. It's a recruiting show. We're not talking about the current one. All right, here we go. This you can probably talk about this a little bit, Michael. It's here. It says, how do the offensive line recruits compare to the past, as well as the way they gravitate towards Greg Fry and his staff compared to the previous staff, Michael?
I think there's more of a personal relationship with Greg Fry with the offensive line recruits. Rick, it's nothing to take anything away from Rick. Rick was a very hard-nosed guy, but relationship stuff, that wasn't his main thing. Fry's really good at that. Fry's not a big yeller, but he's very big in details, just like Rick was. I think the players connect more with him, Fry personally, from a personal level, getting to know him as a person. And also, as a coach, they can kind of connect with him because he's played, he understands the position. And that's big to kids when you go through that, when they can feel, connection there.
I hope we're still live. I just accidentally hit something. Let's see. Oh, no. How did that happen? It says that we're offline. I don't know what happened. I think we got bumped. But this still says streaming. It's quite abrupt. How the hell did that happen? Because this shows that we're live. This doesn't show that we're live. Come on. Is it? I don't know. It's crazy. I can't see the chat right now. We might have just lost people. It shows that we're offline. Does it still show that we're live? Okay. Let's see here. Sorry, Michael. I don't know, man. I screwed it all up, man. We couldn't go one time with me not, figuring a way to mess this stuff up. Somebody's here. Quarterbacks. We've talked about quarterbacks a bunch. Talked about the offensive line. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody said something about Lloyd. Oh, did I say language bad? I didn't curse, did I? No. All right. Anyhow, I'm going to stop talking back to Michael. Lloyd Summerall, Michael, I don't know, is that a target for Florida State?
He's a target for FSU. He's coming this weekend. The thing with Lloyd is he changes favorites. Like 1 week it's Miami, 1 week it's Florida. He visited Florida recently, so he kind of likes Florida. But then today I hear about Miami because Miami talked with him. And then also hear about FSU. So, it just depends on what day you're talking. But I stand by what I said. Like, I think he wants to see if he's a priority to FSU. He's kind of that flash end, and they like him, and he's very tight with Odell Haggins because he's from the same area as Odell. But I think he wants to see what the ends look like. He wants to see what the defense looks like. And I think if they can do that, I think you're going to see you're going to hear a lot more positive things about FSU and Summerall, but I think really he wants to see, do these guys want me? Yeah.
All right, back here. So it takes too much. I'm losing track here. We're going to close it down maybe like 9:30ish, so I'm trying to get some of these last questions. Julia Smith says, who do we have a great chance at signing at linebacker this cycle? He's already talked about this. You're late arriving, it's fine, but Michael, again, linebacker.
Yeah, they have a solid shot at Nakobe Dean. They have a solid shot at Derek Hall, and they have a solid shot at Tresman Marshall. Those are their guys that they're focused on. Does that mean they could lose all of them? Yeah, but they have a solid shot. Mom's all on board with Nakobe Dean. That's big, as all covered. Derek Hall likes the Christian values and Christian things that come across with this staff. That's really big to him. He's coming back for the Clemson game. I think that's a good sign when you just took an official and then you want to come back. I think that's big. And then Tresman Marshall's visited here like 9 times. He's probably there more than my parents have been this year. So I think I've already covered the Tresman Marshall situation where he's much more open than it comes across. He loves FSU. Like I said, I heard source told me that he was asking about, man, I got to get to know Tallahassee. So that's kind of telling me that, he's feeling it, and they're really a distinct possibility. So certainly all 3 of those guys are possibilities. Lee Gapogba, we haven't even talked about him. He's from North Carolina, committed to West Virginia. He's another guy I think they have a solid shot. Lee told me that he will officially visit FSU for the Clemson game. So he's a guy to watch for, and certainly there's going to be more.
Live nuggets.
There's going to be more. So I think we're going to see more of that, but those are the main linebackers at this point. And to answer, just to follow up on that, Rowdy Noah asked, what are the Christian values of the staff? I think it's God-fearing people that believe in, the right ways as far as, their values are, as far as doing things the right way, how they run their lives, how they operate their lives, how they do it daily. I think that's kind of what their Christian values are. I just want to follow up on that since I saw that question.
All right, sorry, I jumped you quick there, Michael. But yeah, all right, we're good. Jeffrey Bell asks, who's the top wide receiver recruit for next year, or are we Gucci at wide receiver? That means good. That's what the children say.
Tell me what Gucci is, because, No, there's plenty of targets. I don't know the top one yet. 2020 receiver. There's a lot of them. There's too many for me to cover. I am going to work on a 2020 hot board, so I'll be able to tell you that, and you'll be able to get a feel for that. So it's to work on that. When I get free time, I'll actually do that. But there's a lot of guys they've already offered. I don't have the top names yet. I think they're really locked in on 19 to finish this off. But I will tell you what, guys, next week I will definitely be able to tell you some top targets at receiver at 2020 class.
All right, again, that's me like going back and forth between here and Warchant.com. Sign up if you're not a member, folks. Warchant 30 gets you 30 free days on Warchant.com. And if you do become a member, you get 10% off at Garnet and Gold online and in their stores. And you bought all your blackout stuff. You need new Garnet stuff, so you can do that. All right, everything is fine on the Warchant path. Let's see what's going on back here in the live chat. Maurice Goolsby, Tamorian Terry, or Kelvin Benjamin?
Well, both of those guys you compared are fast. And Maurice Goolsby's not fast. He's more like, I'd say like Trey McKitty. He's not fast, but he's a lengthy target with a lot of size. It wouldn't surprise me if he played tight end in college. But FSU uses the tight ends like receivers. We saw that with Trey McKitty in such a short time the other night. So I could see him playing in that role. But I don't think he really compares to either one of those guys because Tamarian Terry can fly. Kelvin Benjamin runs like a 4.4 or whatever. He's fast for a big guy. So they don't really compare to to those two guys. But Trey McKitty's the guy that stands out to me as far as Goolsby.
That's crazy. A guy watching named Jacob asked that right after something. It was like, what about Trey McKitty? I'm like, bam, look at Jacob. He knows his stuff, man. He is. Skittle754. This was a guy that, if you would have asked me of anybody that we went and talked to on the spring recruiting tour, whether, a non-committed guy and how I felt about Florida State's chance, I'd be like, this guy just boom, for sure. And then like a month and a half ago, it went like sideways. I'm like, oh no, this recruiting game is so crazy. That's why we have to trust everything Michael says. But what is the latest on Chris Bogle?
That's my dude. I mean, people know how I feel about Chris. Chris is a really good kid. I'm gonna love him no matter where he goes. But just a guy I've gotten to know really well. But I think he generally does care about FSU. I mean, I think he showed that with his tweet after the game. Like, look, they're gonna bounce back, guys. You ain't got to worry about them. So I think in his mind, his heart, he really likes FSU, and that's a team he likes. I think what he has to see, yes, he's still a target. Yes, he's still very interested in FSU. Tennessee, Miami seem to be the teams I hear the most about. Alabama's in there too, but Florida as well. But I think FSU's one that tugs at his heart because his sister goes to FAMU. He has a closeness to Tallahassee. He likes it. But I think he has to see what this defense is going to look like and what he is, his vibe around the coaches when he's around the coaches. I don't think he knows that yet. I think he's close with one or two of them, but not as close as he wants to be. So I think, one, the season. Two, we have to see, the main thing is getting him on the campus for a visit. I think he wants to come for the Clemson game. There's no set time for an official visit. I don't think he's done that yet. But he definitely, FSU, he's going to come to a game, and Clemson game is what Chris has kind of hinted to me about. So that's really what to watch for with Chris. Now, do I think they trail? Yeah, they got work to do, but I think he's still very interested in them. He won't say it publicly. He doesn't mention them a lot, but I think that tweet kind of told you his true feelings.
How about a sentence or two on Keon Zipperer?
No chance. They don't have any chance with Keon Zipperer. I don't think they're really recruiting a tight end. I just don't think they need one, and he doesn't seem overly interested in FSU anyway. So I think Oklahoma, Florida, Miami are the main teams there. So just want to keep it short and sweet. I don't think they have much of a chance.
Michael made me wake up early so we could go to Lakeland High and talk to Keon. He's just like, oh, yeah, I love Urban Meyer, I love Nick Saban. I'm like, what about Florida State, bud? That's what we're here for. Jay Gutter keeps asking about Texas recruiting. You're a Florida guy, Michael, but is there anything going on? And we don't hear about West Side Noles, but what about Heartland Noles, Texas Noles?
Not too much. I mean, the main guy there that they're after is Jalen Curry. Used to be committed to FSU. Penn State's coming on strong there a little bit with him. I think Penn State's a team to watch with Jalen. Hear a lot about them. But he does want to visit FSU. That's his favorite team as a young kid. He wants to give them a chance. Keep hearing about Clemson game with him. He texted with me just 2 nights ago. Clemson game's when I think I'll be coming over for a visit. So he's a guy to kind of, he's almost like a dark horse in that receiver group. We don't really talk about him as much, but I think he's going to come over for that Clemson game and then kind of see where it goes from there.
Just like when I'm ready to call it quits, people keep asking good questions. We'll get to the one that I want to talk to you, but first, somebody asked a couple times. Again, this is a recruiting show, but Michael, do you know anything about these walk-on quarterbacks that are currently on campus?
Nolan McDonald's one I do know about. Very athletic guy. He was a 3-star. He would have been a 3-star. Was committed to Air Force, but wanted to go where his brother was going. He's a very athletic and is very capable of running that offense. If they get to the point now, how much he knows the offense, I don't know. But I can tell you this, he's probably one of the best athletes for the quarterback that FSU has on the roster. He is very athletic. How well he passes, I don't know, but he comes from a very good program, very long-standing, long poly, very well to that kind of spread offense. He knows it very well, so he's the main guy. The other ones I don't know so much about, but Nolan's the main guy. Wouldn't be surprised if he got a scholarship and was put on scholarship, so that wouldn't surprise me.
How about John Dunmore? Florida State's chance with him, Michael. Give me something good.
I think he sticks with Penn State. I think he's pretty solid. I think he'll still watch what FSU season does, but I think the big thing with him is Jalen Sider. He really likes him a lot. That's why he committed to Florida in the first place. I think he likes what their offense does. I think he thinks he fits there. But I think for now, unless Penn State tanks and if they play like they did last week against Appalachian State, they're gonna have some tough games. But I think he's pretty firm with Penn State at this point. But I think he's watching FSU. He talks to FSU. He calls FSU a lot. So he's not closing the door. But if I was making a prediction, I think he would stick with them.
What about Ishmael Sopsher? I probably butchered the name, but is he still being recruited? Where is he?
Radar, but I think Tyler Davis is the main guy that they're locked in on. I got the impression, the sources I talked to, that as high rated as Ishmael is, I don't know if FSU's as sold on him as they are with Tyler Davis. I think they're more sold on Tyler Davis. But they are recruiting him, but I think he goes to LSU. He's definitely, that's his team. So I think FSU kind of put the writing on the wall that, hey, this kid's going to go to LSU, so why waste a lot of time?
All right, I said 2 more questions. Here's one. We'll see if somebody pipes in with another one. And you've already answered it like 3 different ways, but let's go for it. D'Angelo Great asks, Michael, how confident are we about landing Kayvon?
Well, as I said earlier, if I had to make a pick today, I would pick FSU. I feel pretty good about that pick. I feel strongly about that pick. I checked with multiple sources I could think of, and I wouldn't change it, and I feel really good about it.
The forecast thing, is that going to be up anytime soon, the new Rivals forecast tool, Michael?
Say that again?
The forecasting, aren't we going to start making predictions and everybody can make certain ones?
Guys, I'll say it clear. I'm going to check with Rivals tonight. As soon as I get done with this chat, I'm going to text Mike Farrell and find out when this goes up. I don't even know that. It was supposed to go up soon. I've heard, but what I'll do is, like I said every time, when I make a pick, I will put it on the board, but I will let you guys know the exact date when I know it. I will let you know tomorrow because I think I'm going to check with Farrell tonight, so I will let you guys know tomorrow.
All right, how about this? Have any recruits mentioned any other school negatively recruiting against Florida State? What have they been told?
I think it's the same thing. Yeah, they have. I mean, it's basically like you don't want to go there because they ain't going to win. It's mainly the same arguments. Like you don't want to win. They're a fun place, but you don't know if you're going to win there. So it's just the normal same stuff about FSU whenever they get a new staff. Same stuff they try to use against Jimbo. Like Jimbo's not going to win when he's there. So it's no different than stuff that I've seen before. So nothing new. It's all about if you win, and that's the problem with these coaches. You're going to find out is if FSU does start winning, they don't have anything they can use against FSU. So they know this is all they have. That's the ammo they have is focus on. Oh, he's not going to win. He's just having fun and having parties. So it all depends on FSU winning. I've said that from the start, and that's where the recruiting's going to go. But it's pretty much the same negative recruiting.
All right, Michael. Wrap it all up in a nice little package, put a bow on it, tie it up. What do people need to know? Distill it down into 30 seconds a minute, kind of what you think you've covered, where Florida State stands right now in the recruiting game. You can take all the time you want, but I'm just saying you can wrap up your final thoughts here.
Well, certainly linebacker and offensive line are the main factors in this class. Running back, quarterback, don't really need anybody there, in my opinion. If you want to take one, you take one. But linebackers, I think they sit pretty good as far as how these linebackers are feeling about FSU. I've already talked about all of them, so there's no need to rehash. I think our 12 to watch really covered everything in detail. I feel really good about that information we had on there. Offensive line, it really depends, I think, on the season. I think you already got a guy like Charles Cross. Dante Lucas, one of the best players in the country. I think that's 2. Now you got to find somewhere you find 3 of them. I think Brandon Cunningham's 1. It's going to be hard to get him out of Mississippi, but he's very tight with Fry, so that's possible. But I think you're going to hear a lot more offensive line recruits, but the main thing is a lot of these guys and these kids want to see the team play. So I think that's the big issue you're going to be looking for, and that's what I'm focused on, guys. Friday night, I'm probably staying local, probably go see Florida High play Madison County, watch a little Travis J in action. Week after that, I'm going to see Lincoln at Lowndes. Guys, I want to thank you for putting up with us for all this stuff. I know it was a lot of juggling. Aslan did a great job. He nailed it. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week for Recruiting Chat on Wednesday.